dreamy, very weird, has fantastical elements to it.
The beginning of the book really explores how much what we eat or what we don't eat says about ourselves. God, it is a page turner. It is intense from the beginning. But if you're here for that, then, you're in the right club. So... Okay, we're at the beach now. It's our first beach day. I just published a new post on Substack last week called Summer Reads That Feel Like a Sofia Coppola Movie. There are a couple of titles on there that are on my TBR, and so I want to dive into those and see if they'd be a good fit for the book club. Let's dive into the first one. I think I want to start with Amphibian. So I just finished reading the first sample and I really liked it. I'm on the fence of what I would rate it right now because I typically like to sit with a book for a while before I rate it. But in general, what I really like about this book is it has this classic cool girl meets weird girl. To borrow some of the language that I read in the book, this story definitely happens outside of the lines of what's considered normal for girlhood. I can tell it's going to explore a lot of sticky parts of adolescence. I'd say the biggest theme of the book so far and what I've been able to read is metamorphosis. This journey that we take as women from being girls to being women. I think one of my favorite things that I read in the book was that as the girl is learning about, eventually having a period, she describes it as makes her very, very scared and running to her mom and saying something along the lines of Mom, what happens? What if I don't want it to happen? What if I'm the first girl to die becoming a woman? Oh, and I feel like that's so relatable. I remember going up to my mom when I was a girl and kind of just telling her, I'm really scared to grow up. And it reminded me of this innate fear that we have of the unknown, obviously. But as girls then developing into women, it can be something very, very scary because there's some serious changes that your body goes through and in the way that the world treats you as a result of it. So I liked it. I can tell it's going to be a good one for just a personal read, but I'm not too sure about book club read.
I think I want to do Rogue next, or is it Rouge? I think it's Rouge by Mona Awad, and then I'll check in with you guys in a bit. Okay, I only have 3%, so this is going to be a jumble, but I really like this one. I think Rouge can be a good contender for book club because there's a lot of mystery to it. Basically, it's about this woman whose mother dies in a very mysterious way, and she has to come back to her hometown in California to pack up her things, and then a lot of creepy things happen where she kind of gets sucked into this Spock cult that her mother was also a member of. And this book, I wrote in my notes, at first it felt as if it was like the story of Snow White if the queen or if the evil queen was Snow White's mother. But the more that I think about it, this book is kind of like a gothic fairy tale told through the perspective of what could essentially be Snow White's daughter. Her mother disappears in a very mysterious way. She's known for being very, very beautiful, and ultimately, within the first 30 pages of the book, we're led to believe that this creepy spa woman, beauty guru has something to do with her death. And I really like the way that it's written. Obviously, it's by Mona Awad, and I'm a huge fan of her novel Bunny, which is also very dreamy, very weird, has fantastical elements to it, and I think this is gonna be a good one. How crazy would it be for us, my book club, to read another Mona Awad book within the span of a couple months? But I'm not surprised. I love her as an author. The main thing that I really like about this book is there is a lot of mystery to it. You're kind of wondering with each page turn what's gonna happen next. Those are my thoughts. I'm at 1%, so I'm gonna wrap it up there. And I think we're going to go explore a little bit more, maybe get ready for dinner, and I'll catch up with you guys a little bit later.
Now we're on the beach again, and we're on hammocks. We have to take turns because there's only one hammock in the shade. And now I'm going to keep reading. We're gonna start off today's readathon with Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. I'm gonna dive into this sample and catch up with you guys once I have my thoughts. Okay, just wrapped up reading the sample of Milk Fed, and I also really liked this one. Basically, the book is about a woman who has a restrictive eating disorder, is obsessed with calorie counting, and eventually starts therapy and meets a woman who is set on feeding her. And the beginning of the book really explores how much what we eat or what we don't eat says about ourselves, and the assumptions that we make about others and their relationship with food. I'm intrigued to where the story could go. I think I would have to read a tiny bit more to fully recommend it to book club. I don't feel as strongly as I did about Rouge yesterday, but I don't know. I feel like I might just buy the ebook so I can read a couple more chapters and make like a very fair judgment, because I feel like it potentially could be a good book club read. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Milk Fed thus far. And now I think we're gonna go get something to drink, maybe something to eat, and get in the water because it is getting quite hot. Okay, so I just finished reading the next book that I had on my list, which was Sunburn. And I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like it's potentially something that I could like, but I'm not too sure it's a book club read because there's not too much happening. That's not a good sign for a book club read. It's about a girl who lives in a small town in the UK. It's kind of like a coming of age story where she ends up falling in love with another girl that's in her hometown. And so I feel like out of all the books that I've read so far on this vacation, it's the one that would be closest to a romance. There's a lot of yearning in it. It explores how, when you first start to like someone, you hyperfixate on a lot of funny things about that person, whether it's their teeth or the way they do something or the way that they say a word. And that's why, to me, it feels like heavy yearning. And so if you're looking for a book with a lot of that, I definitely recommend Sunburn. But because it doesn't seem very exciting, it seems slower pace, definitely a slow burn. It's just not the typical thing that I would pick for a book club book. So I think it's going to be a no for Sunburn, unfortunately. And yeah, I will probably take a little cat nap and then catch up with you guys for dinner. Okay, I'm getting ready for dinner now. I've been really bad at vlogging during the rest of my days because, I don't know, time just flies and then I'm like, whatever, in the moment, which is good. I've been in the moment. Anyways, there's only a couple of restaurants here on site, and I'm not gonna lie, the food hasn't been too great. And I'm typically not a super picky eater, to be honest. Like, I'm the kind of person that's like, I can get down with like cafeteria food. Like, I'm really not that picky. I can usually find something that I can vibe with. And so tonight we're gonna go to what is supposed to be the on-site steakhouse. We'll see how it is. It's been quite the experience to visit an all-inclusive for the very first time. I think of myself as such a like people watcher, story conjurer in my mind, and all that basically means is like I like to invent little stories about people in my head, and that's very entertaining to me, especially at an all-inclusive where people are very drunk. And I don't know, I've always been that kind of person that likes to fantasize about people's backstories or what could happen after, and it has been very interesting. I'm not gonna lie, like the little stories I've been making up in my head are not very polite or whatever, but I'm like, what kind of mischief do these people get up to? I'm obviously having a very tame vacation because that's just the type of person that I am. But some of these people are here with an agenda. They're here to party, they're here to have fun. And I can't help but wonder like what's gonna go down in their evenings compared to me being in bed by like 9 p.m. Makeup is finished, but I feel like it looks a little bit weird on camera. But yeah, this is the look. I think I just need lip gloss, and I'm gonna go put my shoes on, and then I can show you guys my outfit. This is my look for dinner, and it's been my favorite look of the trip so far. And let me tell you, accessories are everything, because the only thing making the difference in confidence from the last few days to this day is the fact that I'm wearing a new set of jewelry. So I actually thrifted this at a local little consignment shop in Houston called Bluebird Circle. It is my favorite consignment shop for jewelry in Houston. And it's awesome. I was looking for like a beachy little set I can bring on vacation, and this was the perfect one. And I feel like it goes with the colors in this outfit super, super well. That's it. Let's go. Today, I fear the sun. I went to bed with a really bad sunburn on my face. And so today I'm trying my best to protect it because I didn't bring a hat. But anyways, we're spending our very last day on the beach because why not? We don't really have anywhere else to be. The pool is super, super sunny, or all the pools are really sunny. So we're hiding away in the shade. I still haven't picked what book I want my book club to read. After, sleeping on it and thinking about the books that I have read while on this trip, I think that they're all really good, just personal reads, because they're not plot driven, most of them. And I find that maybe they will generate a lot of personal reflections, which reading usually does. But I feel like for the sake of hosting a book club discussion, sometimes books need to be a little bit more plot driven, at least in my opinion. I find it easier to discuss them with a group. Whereas like personal reads are easy for me to journal about and write about and things like that. I have 2 more books that I'm going to read today. And there's a lot going on. From what I read in the synopsis, is about this girl who lives in, I think is like a secluded rural area. And her mother is a cannibal. I think. Not too sure what's going on. And so I'm like, ooh, spooky, scary. This one is called The Lamb. So I think I'm going to read that first. And then the second one that I'll be reading is Of the Flesh, which is a collection of short horror stories. I love a collection of short stories, so I think I might like that one a little bit better. I just finished reading both books, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I actually really liked The Lamb. It is an incredibly disturbing and explicit novel. I think it would take true weird girls to get down with that book. But what I found intriguing actually was the fact that on like the Goodreads description, I think, or one of the book sites, it described it as like the perfect read for Margaret Atwood fans. So, which we just did read The Handmaid's Tale for this month. So I'm almost like taking that as a sign. Like, it's hard for me to say that they're very similar right now because, God, it is a page turner. It is intense from the beginning. It's kind of like, the best way I could describe it is Ethel Cain. It's Ethel Cain vibes. And if you want an Ethel Cain summer, you should be reading Lamb. Of the Flesh, I think, is a little bit more tame. It's described as like a collection of modern horror stories, which I could definitely see. Even in the first book, there's like a social media aspect to it, which I don't always love. I feel like it has to be done the right way, and I don't know what the right way means. And so the first story of the book read a little bit cheesy to me. It wasn't bad at all. It had a really good pace. It had a really good premise behind it. Basically, in the first short story, it's kind of like a twist on the repercussions of having an affair. It's definitely scary, and I feel like it might be a little bit more Summerween vibes because it's definitely a little bit more chill. I don't know. I feel like it could be good. There's a potential for really good gems in there. I just don't know unless I read them. It's hard for me to have a good pulse on that one if I don't feel super strongly about the first book. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to pick The Lamb. Sorry, readers. I feel like with weird girl books, it's always a toss-up. Like, I always end up loving them, and then, like, everybody ends up hating them, and there's, like, 3 people in the crowd that are like, wait, no, I'm there with you. So, yeah, I think I'll just have to preface that for the book this month is, like, it's very weird. But if you're here for that, then, you're in the right club. So, it's now 3 p.m., I think I'm getting kind of sleepy and I don't feel like reading anything else. I'm also getting a little bit hungry and I kind of need to go to the restroom. Yeah, I think we're going to chill for a little bit more and then we'll see where the day takes us. We're going to have a really early evening today because we have to wake up at 4 a.m. tomorrow. Then we're just gonna go home. So honestly, I feel like it's time for me to close the vlog. It was a very chill vacation. I feel like I really needed a really chill vacation. Thanks for joining me on this little readathon. I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, that's it. Bye.